Welcome to our project on environmental sustainability pollution. Climate change is a rapidly occurring problem that must be acted upon to ensure that Earth remains habitable. The goal of Sustainable Earth Awareness is to educate members of society on the effects of their everyday actions and choices on overall pollution seen across the globe. Overall, our expectation is to see an increase in citizens' sustainability efforts to preserve the planet for generations to come. As a global society, we have existing issues that require social innovation to offer resolutions, including issues such as our wasteful society, orbital debris, plastic recycling, debris in our waterways, and animal agriculture as it relates to climate change. It is our responsibility as global citizens to protect the Earth and positively impact the ecosystem for future generations. My name is Maria Pellicone, and I've decided to focus on our throwaway culture and waste reduction as it relates to our global issue. Our global society as a whole has become increasingly wasteful in recent decades with little consideration for its impact on our planet. Although recycling has become commonplace in recent years, the waste epidemic is becoming increasingly worse due to our overuse of food packaging, plastic beverage bottles, straws, and other single-use plastic products. It's hard to believe, but the issue isn't just confined to single-use plastic. It's also a problem with clothing, household items, and electronics being dumped into landfills simply because we are no longer in need of these items. If we have any intention of keeping this planet in a condition that our descendants have the ability to enjoy it as we did, our society needs to reconsider reducing waste and digress from continuing our throwaway culture habits. This epidemic is not just impactful on the condition of the Earth, but our ecosystem as a whole. The excess trash and plastic is making its way into our oceans and the bellies of birds, turtles, and hundreds of species of aquatic wildlife, some of which we eat. The electronic waste we throw away each year accounts for approximately 70% of the toxic waste in our landfills, which in turn impacts our ecosystem, groundwater, and food supply. While leadership in some societies are doing a better job than others working to get the waste problem under control by implementing programs requiring citizens to reduce, reuse, and recycle, it is also important for the citizens to take ownership and do their part. In Denmark, it is unlawful to dispose of waste suitable for incineration in a landfill. Additionally, no materials that will negatively impact the environment or that are recyclable will be incinerated. There are many programs set up across the globe suggesting better efforts toward reducing waste and recycling materials properly, but many are not required or being implemented everywhere. We need to work to focus our society to reduce the amount of rubbish we create to have a healthy planet and community. A tri-sector engagement approach is when businesses come together from the private, public, and nonprofit sectors to work towards the same goal. The leaders from several sectors collaborate on an existing project or problem and use the different leadership archetypes that come together to work on a resolution to the problem. They bring their talents and resources to help be part of the solution. A private sector company, TerraCycle, is partnering with other private sector businesses, municipalities, and government agencies to offer recycling for almost any form of waste. They offer funded recycling programs supported by conscientious consumer brands, and they also offer for-purchase programs for eco-friendly consumers. They work with municipalities, local governments, and even schools to incorporate programs in the community. In turn, TerraCycle takes a portion of their proceeds to support charities and nonprofits of the recycler's choice around the globe. Since their inception in 2001, TerraCycle, along with the efforts of those partnering to recycle, have raised over $44 million for nonprofit organizations. TerraCycle is working in conjunction with other sectors of business to move waste into a circular system to allow it to continue to cycle through our global economy. PepsiCo is one of the major global private sector companies that has partnered with TerraCycle in an effort to reduce their carbon footprint. PepsiCo has also partnered with Loop, operated by TerraCycle, a company that offers everyday products that consumers are already using that are delivered to the consumer's home in multi-use containers. Loop has partnered with UPS to design a reusable tote that skips the bubble wrap to reduce waste during the delivery process. These programs are expanding into the global market, and if embraced by more individuals, businesses, and government agencies, could considerably reduce the amount of waste we are creating as consumers. These concepts could be bolstered to incentivize more consumers and corporations or even local municipalities to prioritize the ecosystem and participate. Social innovations are new tactics or processes that attempt to solve a social need in a more effective, efficient, and sustainable way than it is currently being addressed. There are many social innovations being employed globally with regard to environmental sustainability, whether by government, industry, or nonprofit organizations. However, communities throughout the world are not implementing these practices consistently. Lebanon, a country the size of the state of Connecticut, has been experiencing a trash crisis since 2015 when their primary landfill closed. In turn, the trash problem became increasingly worse, littering the streets of Lebanon, not to mention causing public health issues and contaminating the country's water. In 2016, the government claimed to have the issue under control, but in fact, they were dumping untreated and toxic waste into the Mediterranean Sea. As a result, the trash began washing up on the beaches of Beirut, killing aquatic wildlife and negatively impacting the ecosystem in the process. Lebanon is not the only country dealing with this ongoing crisis. However, little is being done by the government to address the problem at this point in time. Residents are ready to address the issue, but they need support by the government and businesses to be significantly impactful. The government and municipalities could start by partnering with a company like TerraCycle to work to address the overabundance of trash they have in their community. TerraCycle could work with the government in Lebanon to implement a plan of action to reduce the amount of trash littering the streets so it can be recycled and reused. Lebanon can select a nonprofit organization that benefits their country or local community for TerraCycle to donate to. Although this may be an expensive investment, deterioration of this country is not an option. Lebanon is a beautiful destination with beaches and mountains. Addressing the trash epidemic will help reinvigorate this country and in turn bring in additional money. Lebanon can also partner with their environmental groups in the area to educate citizens that are not aware of the long-term effects of the trash crisis. This would help the citizens take ownership and responsibility for what is transpiring in their country. Laws and regulations can be put in place with regard to how citizens and businesses dispose of materials, what they recycle, and how they use products in general. Lebanon can also implement the use of more biodegradable products and be more selective about the products they're allowing into their markets with regard to packaging. Lebanon can ban the use of plastic shopping bags and opt for more eco-friendly versions. They can also incentivize citizens that are having a positive impact on the ecosystem by celebrating success, including reducing waste by citizens or getting the trash problem under control. Lebanon is a small country and not the only one with this big problem. However, because of its size, it is a problem that with the right actions and social innovations can be controlled and improve their country for generations to come.
Commonly referred to as space junk. The only things seen to stay in space are space stations and satellites. This equipment can stay in the low Earth orbit for centuries. Rockets are constantly being launched into space, as well as satellites. In the next decade, people are proposing to launch 3 times the number of satellites ever launched for any purpose. Rocket launches consist of different stages. During each stage, the fuel is used up inside the metal cylinders and the empty tanks are ejected. The majority of metal cylinders end up orbiting Earth. The low Earth becomes a landfill of debris, like broken satellites and shrapnel. Over time, we may prevent ourselves from leaving planet Earth and further exploring space. The debris is traveling so fast that even the smallest debris, less than 1 centimeter, can destroy satellite networks in space.
Jackie Wattles on CNN stated, at orbital speeds, even a small fleck of paint colliding with a satellite can cause critical damage. This can affect global communications, navigation, GPS, weather data collection, asteroid trackers, and thermal imagers. If all these scientific tools were to be destroyed, all humans would be indirectly affected. Every year, satellites are already being destroyed. There are about 4,000 spacecraft orbiting Earth, only 1,800 are operational. Many companies still want to dramatically increase that number. The amount of debris is only expected to grow. Ben Green, head of Science Environment Research Center in Australia, stated, "We're losing 3 to 4 satellites a year now to space debris collision. We're very close. NASA estimates within 5 to 10 years of losing everything." 10 years from now, it is very likely that space may not be viable for satellites or rocket launchings. Space exploration may altogether come to an end, trapping us within the confines of Earth and leaving humans to rely on poor technology. There are, however, numerous ways to approach the issue of orbital debris. NASA is a government agency. NASA scientists collect data using tools that allow them to predict the future of the debris environment. According to Astromaterials Research and Exploration Science, observations of orbital debris are made using ground-based radars and optical telescopes. Radar measurements of orbital debris are obtained using Haystack ultra-wideband satellite imaging radar. NASA is currently partnered with the Air Force Maui Optical and Supercomputing. Together they are collaborating to create a telescope for orbital debris research. 2 engineering models currently being used are the Orbital Debris Engineering Model 3.0 and Legend. NASA is also conducting tests on new material that has been redesigned for satellites. This type of material will provide better protection from orbital debris. Elon Musk is the founder of SpaceX, a private aerospace company. In 2017, SpaceX launched a rocket, Falcon 9, with an experimental system. Once in the orbit, removed debris will eject 2 miniature-sized satellites to simulate orbital debris and test net capture. These technologies are being tested to see how well they're able to pull orbital debris out of space. If effective, it could potentially help decrease the orbital debris already created. SpaceX told the Federal Communications Commission that it would deorbit its satellites within 5 to 7 years. PACA Space Debris Systems was founded in 2010, a non-profit organization that is centralized around a diverse team of people who help bring awareness of orbital debris with their local government. The team consists of business professionals, scientists, engineers, entrepreneurs, and inventors who believe in bettering the environment with cost-effective solutions. PACA needs support from investors. If satellites are damaged, companies cannot prosper because there would be no telecommunication services to provide. PACA Space Debris Systems is taking any contributors and holding a contest for who can best improve the organization. Someone needs to act on orbital debris because not acting on it is hindering mankind from further exploring space. There is an estimated 3,000 dead satellites that contain valuable components that could be repurposed for other uses and used for missions to Mars. Private companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin, and Virgin Galactic are highly involved in space exploration, and they should keep clean of the debris that they create. These companies may even profit from eliminating space debris. It is estimated that the global market for monitoring and removing debris will generate $2.9 billion in revenue by 2022. Surrey Satellite Technology Limited is currently working on a satellite that will remove space debris and burn the debris in the atmosphere. Developing a solution is a lot more difficult since it is a global issue that will require everyone to be involved. NASA's Orbital Debris Program Office set an international timeline for satellites to self-destruct, calling it mitigation. After 25 years, the operational life of a satellite ends and burns in the atmosphere. 99% of satellites will need to be taken out of orbit as soon as they have completed their time. However, countries do not have to enforce the 25-year guideline. In 2015, 35% of satellites did not follow the regulations. Organizations like PACA need contributors who can reach out to private companies and bring awareness of orbital debris. Private companies have the potential to make a lot of profitable gains. NASA and private companies need to work together to eliminate the current debris and how to decrease the growth of future debris. There needs to be a mutual agreement because we all have a common goal. It is not ideal to altogether put an end to rocket launches. Space exploration and technology are all vital. We have to consider the environment we inhabit and preserving our planet, progressing together.
Hello everyone, I'm Zhihao Zhang. It's my honor to join this great project. My topic is recycling chaos, China and the world. It has been a year since China stopped the work of the biggest recycling programs around the world. China's National Sword Policy banned the import of most plastic and other materials handled for that national's recycling processors, which had handled nearly half of the world's recyclable waste for the past quarter century. Maybe you would be interested why China shut down the import of plastic waste. I took this photo from a waste village called Dongba in China last week. You can see there are waste everywhere and it smells really bad. The family there told me that this waste were left a whole year and nobody handled them yet. Everyone was sending their waste to China, not because China has most advanced recycling technologies. In fact, the real reason is, in China, the environmental law was incomplete and the pricing was low. In the years since, China's plastic imports has decreased by 99%, leading to a major global shift in where and how material tasks in the recycling bin are being processed. Globally, more plastics are now ending up in landfills, incinerators, or likely littering, because the cost of the recycling is more and more expensive. For example, in England, more than 500,000 more tons of plastics and other household garbage were burned last year. Australia's recycling industry is facing a crisis as the country struggles to handle the 1.3 million ton recyclable waste, and they had previously shipped to China. Even before China's ban, only 9% of plastic was being recycled, while 12% was burned, and the rest was buried in landfills or simply left to wash into rivers and oceans. Without China to process plastic bottles, packaging, and food containers, not to mention industrial and other plastic waste, the already massive waste problem posed by over-throwaway culture will be more and more serious. The planet's load of nearly indestructible plastics. There more than 8 million tons have been produced worldwide over the past 6 decades, and the number is continuing to grow. Before China's ban, 95% of the plastic collected for recycling in the European Union and 75% in the US were sold and shipped to China processors. There, they were turned into foams to repurpose by plastic manufacturers. Personally, I don't think China or any other country should respond to the recycling problem alone. In fact, every country, even every individual in this planet, has responsibility to solve this problem together. Thanks to this project, gives me the opportunity to realize how serious of this problem and think what we should do in the future.
All over the world, people eat red meat and use dairy in surplus, which leads businesses, whether private or public, to create more farmland to best suit a rise in cattle numbers. These cows then spend their lives grazing large portions of land and releasing methane that is 84 times more potent than carbon dioxide and its effect on the climate. In addition, the waste produced by the cows, along with the fertilizer and pesticides, which help create food for the animals, produces large amounts of nitrogen oxide, which is also detrimental to the climate. This issue not only affects those who consume red meat and dairy on a regular basis, it also affects all those who do not. Those who are concerned for the environment's well-being are changing their diets to vegetarian or vegan in an attempt to counter the red meat industry. This is an effective strategy, yet the human body is naturally carnivorous. The way in which we have treated the earth is requiring unnatural solutions for those willing to help. Efforts can be made by the carnivorous members of society to consume less red meat, creating a lapse in the supply/demand aspect of the issue, but we also must deal with the effect that it has already had on the environment. World leaders, especially in the US, have shunned the idea of animal agriculture contributing to greenhouse gas emissions until recently. Now, world leaders have started recognizing that changing citizens' eating diets is the first step in decreasing animal agriculture's negative environmental impact. However, for this to happen, there needs to be viable meat-free food options available for the public to cut down on their routine meat/dairy consumption. Therefore, leaders such as those in Chicago, Illinois at the Global Covenant of Mayors for Climate and Energy are initiating ways to make healthy, more sustainable foods available to the public by working directly with farmers and the meat industry.
An idea for a new mega community that I am proposing is one that calls for the collaboration of the nonprofit, public, and private sector in order to help decrease the amount of greenhouse gas emissions caused by animal agriculture per year. The mega community will consist of a nonprofit organization interested in increasing environmental sustainability, a private investor or business that deals in farming cattle, and lastly, a government official or branch interested in instilling stricter food policies centered around the farm animals. The nonprofit would supply the data and community efforts in order to ensure the mega community has the public support emotionally and financially. The private sector business could be one such as McDonald's, a private fast food chain that serves a plethora of beef and dairy products daily across North America. This business could be worked with to identify their beef supplier, come into some sort of agreement on how to declare a number of cattle to a sustainable amount, or at least increase their meat/dairy-free selection. The government-selected individual or organization would provide the legal initiative necessary in order to maintain the changes created through the mega community's collaborations. With this specific tri-sector engagement, actual results would be achieved as every spectrum of the problem is represented. The people, nonprofit, the investors/money conscious, private, and the lawmakers/government. Given the collaboration of all three, animal agriculture could be decreased to sustainable amounts, or at the very least, the public could be made aware of actually how large their individual diets takes effect on the Earth's well-being. Ways in which individuals across the globe are using socially innovative ways to decrease the overall greenhouse gas emissions from animal agriculture include vegan, taking days off from eating or consuming dairy, and buying meat/dairy from local farms. In addition, people around the world are beginning to question if their meat supplier is housing a full number of cattle. Not only would decreasing the number of animals creating waste and producing methane help the environment, but decreased cattle also means less farmland. If meat/dairy consumption was completely halted, the total land used in the world for farming would be decreased by 75%, which is the size of the US, China, European Union, and Australia put together. In addition, the livestock and poultry environmental learning community calls for farms to innovate by increasing production efficiency, managing the manure properly, becoming energy efficient, and capturing and storing carbon in the soil. These strategies, if adopted by the majority of farmers, would help sustain the meat/dairy farms that already exist while the population changes their diets. All in all, the strategies initiated by groups and organizations rely solely on the effort of humans and our will to protect the planet for the future. Overall, we here at Sustainable Earth Awareness are looking to help induce more sustainable lifestyles across the globe while staying true to our core values. The examples of pollution and their effects on the environment were displayed through the throwaway culture and waste reduction, orbital pollution, litter/debris in the ocean, and animal agriculture. Lastly, we hope our words in these examples of pollution have given some credibility to the phrase climate change and inspire you to join us on our mission to help save planet Earth from ourselves. The time for change is now.